Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Red Path. It is another episode of Competitive Insights here with myself, your host, Dara, and I'm joined today by the wonderful Kevin, who is joining us from the parking lot preparing for a tournament, I believe, which is just shows your dedication to the cause, man. But I've got Kevin on today for a pretty cool reason. It's maybe a sort of expertise that we don't normally get here on the Red Path. Kevin is recently back from a highly successful run at Adepticon at the head of a Khorne Daemons army, which in my mind is just so sick. I'm a huge fan of Khorne Daemons, as I'm sure a lot of the viewers are as well. And Kevin is part of Tundra Tactics gaming club team, which had really good success at Adepticon, from what I understand. Kevin, how are you doing today, man?
Well, I'm doing good, Dara. Yeah, I'm glad to be talking with you and explain all levels of core and not just the world eater part. So at least gives some in-depth tactics of how to either add it to your world eater list or just go full send like I did at Adepticon.
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. Yeah, Khorne Demon's really close to my heart. Actually, the army I started before World Eaters, they were like my entry drug into the World Eaters. But yeah, it's so sick to
Nice.
see someone like doing so well with demons full stop. Like I really love demons, but with Khorne Demons in particular is amazing. And I think probably a lot of people want to know like where are Khorne Demons right now? What makes them viable? And I think rather than me kind of going through that in a video, which I've been asked to do a lot of times, I thought it makes a lot more sense to get someone who has an excellent record with Khorne Demons on to tell everybody about what makes them special.
So the thing that makes them special is, I'm sorry, it's not bloodletters, it's blood crushers. Because whenever you make a charge, and it's not how the Primaris assault marines are, where as long as everyone in base contact or engage range makes it on the 4-up, it's as long as one guy makes contact, you roll dice for everybody. So I'm pretty sure that's going to go away when the demon book comes out, but who knows when that happens? So I'll just keep riding that train till whenever. So that's probably the number one is blood crushers. I like attaching a skullmaster because they give dev wounds to said juggernaut horns, and they cause a battle shock in the fight phase, and that's all units in engagement range, not just the one you pick for the charge target for the mortals. So if any of those fail a battle shock, you spend your one CP for Drought Terror, and then you get your +1 AP and reroll wounds. So what is it like 28 attacks with your horns, so 14 of them are going to hit. You're going to wound on four is it probably worst on most targets, unless if you're charging like a T13 something, and then re-rolling wounds, just trying to get those dev wounds. And then if you pair that with the Ren Master, you get like damage 2 to damage 4, which is really hot, especially
That
when the
is
dev wounds
super
pop off.
spicy. Yeah, I know the blood crushers have like been like a maybe not so much right now, but were formerly like a super hot choice for world eater players to ally in before we got a little
Mm-hmm.
bit restricted. I know Jamie ran like a crazy amount of them in a TTS game he played against Jack once, which I watched, and I was just like, okay, what is going on here? But like I've had demon players run juggernauts into me and just been like, oh god, this is rough. But they definitely seem like maybe a little bit of the glue that's holding Khorne Demons together right now. But what's your thoughts on like? Obviously, I think we can all agree that bloodletters are maybe not where they should be right now. But what about the other sort of like Khorne Demon units? Like I know I've always looked at the Skull Cannon, and you mentioned it when we were chatting. That thing is like pretty spicy, right?
Oh yeah, that thing. Me and Bart was it Barnyard Gaming. We both have the same opinion on skull cannons. They're amazing because they're the ones that basically cause on-demand battle shocks. And then while you're in the shooting phase, it's really easy to get your Shadow of Chaos up. So to get the -1. So how I usually do it, especially in like the tougher matchups, I try to line up either two or three skull cannons and then hopefully make the charge with the blood crushers. So that unit itself is going to take 3 to 4 battle shocks at a -1. So the math says you're probably going to fail. So if I need that one specific unit dead, it's almost guaranteed when I make it.
Yeah, that's super good. And in like in matchups like Custodes, where a lot of their kind of like reactionary defensives are based around the ability to use stratagems, I imagine that really like has a an interesting domino effect for you playing into them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that like I said, like if I need like besides the Trajan unit because he can pull on demand fights first for at least once per game. But like if it's any other of the squads, if I just usually I try to, I guess like a cert use my surgeon scalpel to try and take out one unit at a time. Or if there's a juicy target, I can try to do two, and then yeah, so that's usually what I do with the blood crusher and the skull cannons. And then I always try to do flesh hounds. I know it's pure Khorne, so that's the only thing we got. But flesh hounds are really good, especially for your early turn, like tactical secondaries, like area denial, secure no man's land, extend battle lines, or even. And then so, I don't think you need to put them in the corners for investigate signals because usually I put two skull cannons in wherever in my deployment zone towards the edges. So just in case if that happens, so I'm not wasting my chaff units. I can just have them sit back. And even if the skull cannons are out in the open, they're T9, 4 binvol, and 9 wounds.
They're going to
It's
be
not like
annoying,
bolters are
right?
going to kill them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
do I
for
really want
sure.
to put las cannons into them or even a meltagun? You're winning me on 4s. So it's like,
Mm.
it's a crapshoot.
And I think just to touch on something you said there that I always find interesting, do you find yourself leaning into tactical or fixed secondaries for demons?
For probably 95% of the time I do tactical just because we have access to either advance and charge or the uppy downy strat where you can pick up 2 units in the shadow. It just tactical is usually pretty easy. The only time
Awesome.
I wish I took fixed was against my semifinals match where I lost against the Tau winner. I should have taken fixed, just bring it down and cleanse. Because
Yeah.
on the ritual, it's like, okay, I can just string it along. But that was a trip in itself because that was like game 7 out of 8 and
Too
in
many
2 days, so I
games.
was tired.
Yeah. Fair. We'll forgive you for that one.
All
One thing
right.
that I'm curious to pick your brain on as well, because it's kind of been passed around in our Discord a little bit, is the concept of and this isn't necessarily just as like an allied unit, but like as one which you may or may not think is viable in monocorn demons. The skull taker and bloodletter bomb as like kind of like a high dev wound output unit. How do you value that unit? Is it something that you like to run, or do you kind of think it's cute but maybe not that takeable?
If I had more points, I would try to take it. If I didn't have Bellicor or a big guy, I might try to have like 2 Ren Masters and then Skull Taker and Bloodletters. It just for how many point like if there were like a point or two less, I would definitely take Bloodletters. Just yeah, that's just my opinion right now. They're just still too expensive. And even if you do like the what people on the internet are saying, like if you do the unit of Bloodletters and then like 3 Ren Master combo, I'd rather just do that with Crushers.
Yeah, right. Because at the end of the
Just
day,
I
it's just yeah,
yeah,
it's the same damage output, less tricks, I guess.
yeah.
And finally, one other one that I want to kind of like get your opinion on is the big boys, the bloodthirsters, of all varieties. Like, where are you with those right now?
So back in so I know technically at my Adepticon list wasn't mono corn, but we can just say that Bellacore because I mean he used to have the mark, so why not? I'll give him a pass on that. But I do like the definitely the Bloodthirster over Scarbrand because the +1 to hit is just really helps the Blood Crushers hit home, and especially if you're in the Custodes matchup and they pick their -1 to hit kata, so then at least you're breaking even, or or you're just hitting better on probably more more times than not. Because if you do Scarbrand, the extra attack only buffs the riders, not the juggernauts themselves, or it's the the metallic rhinos. So you're not getting 5 attacks. You're only getting 3 attacks on the guy up top.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think. And is like Bellicor, is he a must-have? You know, for what he brings to the table.
Uh, he was definitely used. I definitely liked him at Adepticon. That was actually my besides like a test game or two. That was the first time I took Bellicor in that list, and I'm like, wow, that uppy downy turn if you go second and then just slam him home is really good because I know people say like, oh, don't do that with Bellicor. You're just throwing him away. I'm like, when you have 7 blood crushers in your face, and especially when you can get on-demand 5-inch charges, they're going to kill the crushers first and maybe do some moves to Bellicor. And then guess what? Then you have your other 2 things up. I also put 2 units of crushers in reserve. So when it's turn 2, I drop the other 2 down and just slam home again.
Yeah, because they can drop like right next to them, right, and be super close, so you don't really have to worry too much about deep strike charges, which is super nice. So why don't we pivot into your Adepticon run? Because now we have a little bit more structure around, like your thoughts on Khorne Daemons, which I think has definitely been insightful for me at least. What was the Adepticon list? What made you bring it, and how does it function on the tabletop?
So yeah, the Adepticon list. Like I said, I probably last minute I swapped the Bloodthirster with the two-handed axe and Argath King of Blades for Be'lakor, just because I didn't know if Planet Bowling Ball was going to be a thing at Adepticon again. So I'm like, okay, that the 6-inch aura of don't shoot me outside of 18, at least protect me for a turn, and then do my usual tricks of do the uppy downy and drop down and charge stuff. But like a lot of people were saying when they saw Adepticon train, I'm like, okay, this is fantastic, like 1,000% better than last year. So yeah, it was a. I wouldn't say I was like kicking myself for not taking the Bloodthirster, but I still value Bellacor's help essentially.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, what did the Adepticon list end up looking like in the end? What was the rundown of it before we get into the games?
So the list was Be'lakor, 3 Skullmasters. That's the Herald on Juggernauts. A 6x3 Blood Crushers. 3 units of 5 Fleshhounds, and 3 Skull Cannons.
Sweet.
That's it's real simple.
Yeah, that is quite simple. And how did you phrase it again? How did you describe the list to me before we hopped on?
I called it all gas, no brakes.
Yep, and it really is. I love it. When you went to Adepticon, like, what was your? Did you have a goal going into the event where you kind of like, I want to win this many games, or were you just like, I'm here to show up and have some fun?
So I made top 16 last year. I wanted to at least make top 16 this year. That was my goal. So at least win 4 games. I did that, and then apparently I got best heretical or best chaos. So that was another thing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I got that 2 years in a row. And then when they finally posted the Adepticon finally posted the like overall rankings, like your battle points, your paint scores, your strength of schedules, and whatever else they were using. I apparently came in second overall. I was like, ooh,
Oh shit!
neat.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
nice. So probably includes like a really nice army, and you're a fun dude to play against. I'm guessing because it encompasses all that. Sweet. So obviously you did exceptionally well, which is awesome to hear. Great to hear Corn doing well. Why don't you give us a quick run through of the games and key elements that maybe turn the game in your favor, and maybe how you're feeling about the matchups.
So game one, I was facing a typical conventional Eldar list. I know from what I remember, they had a bunch of the 5-man MSU stuff. They had like 2 Shadow Specters, some Warp Spiders, some Hawks, uh, a unit of Guardians with Eldrad, probably the interesting pick when I saw the list, an Avatar, 2 Fire Prisms. And that's all I can remember from the list without having BCP up
Interesting.
in
Yeah.
front of me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that one I was kind of worried because of all the MSU stuff to basically scream me out, and then the 2 Fire Prisms to at least slam home and maybe kill my Be'lakor Skull Cannons to because 6 damage hurts. But I would say they told me right away that they were in it for the painting because their army was gorgeous. Like it looked like a bunch of like their display board had a bunch of floating rocks. The the
Nice.
models
Yeah.
themselves were painted awesome. They had like a liquid effects for water on the base. I'm like, this is like 10 out of 10. So
Beautiful.
yeah, but back to I think first one was Scorched Earth and Dawn of War. So kind of worried on that one because they can go wide and block me off. But luckily they kind of just fed me units. Like one of the times he actually moved up the Avatar right in the middle within advance and charge range of my crush unit that was on the board. I'm like, I'll just go forward. And he's like, don't worry, the Avatar tanks a bunch of stuff. I'm like, he's not going to tank this
Ain't
because
gonna tank those mortals.
yeah, between the mortals and the dev wounds, I picked him up before even the the bloodletter riders on top were even able to fight. So
Oh,
he's
really?
like, oh, he's like, oh my, because I think I
That
did
is
like
indeed a vibe.
yeah, I think I did like 9 or 10 mortals to it on the charge. I was like, ooh, this will be fun.
Nice. Yeah, we like
But
that.
yeah, and then after that, it was kind of like a slow roll of what's going to happen. I think the only unit I ever lost was a unit of Fleshhounds, and the most he brought down a Crusher unit was like 4 models, including the leader.
Mm.
So yeah, that game was a blowout. I believe it was 100 to 61, and I was kind of generous on the points towards the end, but it was whatever. I got my points.
Yeah, for sure. Nice,
Yeah.
strong beginning. What are we looking at for game number two then?
Funny story. It was World Eaters. Jamie might get a kick out of this. It was Angron, 6 units of 5 Zerkers, I think two were 1 unit of regular 8 bound, and 3 Land Raiders.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
he'll get
you
Jamie and
absolute
Jack will
champion.
enjoy that one.
Like, you absolute
Awesome.
champion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not the best matchup for him into you. Like those Land Raiders are kind of like okay.
Uh, I think he was using the sorry the the Zerkers as good screens. He basically he went. I think I went first. So basically, for turns 1 and 2, he just sent the Berserkers out forward in screens, and then basically Angron was playing whack a mole. But I think he messed up on, from what I remember, he messed up on not deployment, but his placing. So he gave me a nice hole to drop Be'lakor and the 7 Crushers turn 2. So and then I killed Angron and a Land Raider in one fell swoop, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. And he didn't get Angron back till like turn 5, which was kind of too late. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
that game was more of a blowout than the first one. It was 100 to like 30 something, 30 40 something. So yeah, and then
Yeah,
then we both cracked a beer and then kind of just talked it out of what could have happened. So basically,
nice.
I just said, hey, just plug the gap, and it would have been a better game.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for the world leaders to run into the Khorne Daemons. I think Jack described it really well before when he said it's like running into a buzzsaw, because a lot of the times it is for us. Yeah, I think
A
it's
teleport buzzsaw.
a teleporting buzzsaw. Exactly. Yeah, those crushers are, at least from my experience, are not very fun to deal with for the world leaders. You know, because they're kind of tough. They've got good output. They pick up berserkers like there's no tomorrow, and those mortals on the charge can seriously flip the environment of the go turn for the world leaders, right? Because
Mhm.
you're kind of like having to play around a semi unreliable, well, I don't want to say unreliable, but semi unpredictable ability where you don't really know what's going to happen as the world leaders player when they come into you. And Be'lakor is certainly annoying, I think, for the world leaders. Is very, very kind of hard unit to deal with. But yeah, cool to see you coming out on top for that one. So rocking into game number three, the third of 4 games in day one. What are we playing into here?
So I played against Necrons, and that guy was an absolute Chad. No Catan. So
Interesting.
he
That
was
is indeed a
yeah.
take.
It was a take. That was this was my first not 100, so that helps. But he was playing Hypercrypt. It was I yeah, again, sorry, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just going off of memory. So I remember he had a Necron Destroyer Lord, 2 units of 3 heavy destroyers with the big laser beams, a unit of 3 with heavy destroyers with I'd say the shotgun version, the multiple shots, a unit of race with the usual jazz, the 6 of them with the Technomancer, all that good stuff. And then I think 2 units of scarabs or one big unit of scarabs, two was it Doomsday Arcs, and then one of the Forge World units, the Tesseract Arc, the one where it has like a pick 3 shooting ability and a -2 to charge aura on it. And then I think maybe a couple other units I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, I think like a unit of 10 death marks, 5 death marks, uh, hex mark destroyers. I think that's about it.
So it's a pretty
But
wide
yeah,
Necron list as far as things go, right?
oh yeah. The only things I was worried about was the the Doomsday Arcs because they had the damage for excuse me, damage 4 guns and dev wounds. So if they look at my blood crushers, they just pick them up.
Yeah.
And the Tesseract Arc has a -2 to charge ability. So and then the the shotgun heavy destroyers, because I mean 3 shots at 4 up for the bit 6 damage guns. I'm not super worried about it. But yeah, I think he went first and I went second, and then he moved up his stuff, and he thought that I would just charge the Tesseract Vault or Arc to so I can get -2 to charge, but luckily he had his scarabs right next to it. So how 10th edition works, you charge that one, and then okay, I'll touch it real quick, and then pile into this, and then just picked it up turn 1. I was like, whew, thank goodness.
Pro gamer move.
Yeah, go 10th
Nice.
edition.
Yeah, that is indeed a vibe. But yeah, good play for
Hmm.
spotting that one out. So that must have been a huge swing factor pretty early in the game, right?
Hmm. And then yeah, then after that, it was definitely a back and forth because I remember that score. It was 87 to 67. So
Oh
I
wow,
think at the very
close.
yeah, so I think at the very end it came down to could I get my last secondaries, and then I think I was able to swing the primary. So that's why it was a because I went second. So that's why I think it was a 20-point difference at the end. I think
Hmm.
I drew like two really good cards and got all the primary.
Did you find that by going second in that game, with both of you having like uppy downy abilities, that you had like an advantage over his one because you
Yeah.
have that kind of like more information when you do your one? Did you find that impactful in this game, or was it really not such a big deal?
Oh, 100%. I love going second into any kind of teleporting faction because because if they go second, they're doing the same thing but better. Because like how Grey Knights and then the Hypercrypt Necrons and even other demons, they they have a better drop on you essentially, like you said.
Yeah, fair, awesome, cool to see Hypercrypt falling down into that one. Rather unusual Necron
Hmm.
list, but kind of here for that wider style as well. So we finally move into the last game of day number one, game number four. Were you feeling pretty like tired at this point? Because like 4 games in one day is quite a lot of Warhammer.
We luckily because I like to take the philosophy if you take an easy list, you know what it does, and games go by quick. So I didn't have to worry. I can take a bunch of breaks in between all my games and then at least talk, enjoy, have a beer, get some food, all that good niceties. And then round four, I was playing, you guessed it, World Eaters again.
Oh my god, dude, you're taking everyone out of the pack. So
Hey, Khorne
rude.
doesn't care where the blood flows.
Sure,
It's fair.
sure. We'll go with that one. We'll go with that one.
All right. So this one uh, this was more of your typical World Eater list. Like you have your Angron, your 6-man unit 8 bound, two I think 1 or 2 units of Exalted, a unit of regular 8 bounds, uh, a unit of 10 Zerkers with Mo, and then Karn with 5 Zerkers. Like your typical, I would say, World Eater list, or whatever Anthony Vanilla came up with after that. It looked just like it.
Right. Cool. And how did this one play out? Like, obviously, this is a much more complex game, I would say, than the at least the initial World Leaders one, and possibly apart from the Hypercrypt, maybe the most complex game of the day.
Yeah. So this one, I actually went first on, and I was like, "Ooh, crap!" So because I wanted him to come forward, then I can do my shenanigans, get the jump on him, and all that. So this one, I had to be more conservative, and I think this was Taken Hold, the one where I think it's like Taken Hold, Crucible of Battle, whatever mission 4 was for Adepticon. So the one where it's like 3 objectives in the middle and all that. So I went forward, gave as little as possible, get to try and get all my points. And I think I had like area denial and secure no man's land, so I had to send out 2 units of dogs. I was hoping just to send out one, but whatever. I like 10 points. And then after that, he got the advance in charge and +2 to move, slammed home, and then got yeah, basically he killed those 2 for free, and I didn't get primary. This one was a really close game. It was all so towards the end, it was a lot of back and forth. But luckily, I think there was one time where like either he needed to kill one of my blood crush units or Angron needed to come back. I forgot the specifics, but it was definitely like that one key moment he just met, like his dice failed him, and then I was able to capitalize on that. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
was able to slam home into the the 6-man exalted 8 bound and just basically kill him to a man just from one fight phase, even with the 5 of feeling the pain up. And then I was able to get, I think, like a capture enemy outpost and behind enemy lines. So I was able to drop Bellicor and like one of my skull cannons, including a 6-man into his backfield and just kill all the stuff. So yeah,
Nice.
I think it ended up being another. I think it was like 80. I think it was like 80 to 60 something. So it was a really close game.
Mm. Yeah. I think that's like one where the Khorne Demons might have the slight edge because of the Realm of Chaos uppy downy ability is
Mm-hmm.
quite difficult for World Eaters to deal with if you drop anything in the World Eaters backlines, because once you kind of pick
Mm-hmm.
up whatever's guarding the home field, likely a squad of jackals or something, you can just kind of like wave at them while they're in the middle of the board and you're like, "Oh, hey, look, capture enemy outposts." And then it's like, "What are you going to do,
Yeah,
man?"
yeah, especially
Yeah.
with 3-inch deep strike. And he
Mm.
only had like a, yeah, you are correct. He did have jackals at the very back. And then I tagged the Jackals, and he had to turn around, I think, with Angron or a unit of 8 bound. So then he had to split it. Like you said, he split his forces, and
Yeah,
then after that,
which
it's like, okay, I'm going to go in the middle now, and then take all the objectives, and then pick you off.
100%. I feel like any time you force the World Leaders player to split in that way, you are in such good control of the game. Because if ever I have to turn around and send anything homeward, I'm like, oh man, this is not it. So yeah, fair play. So you finished day one 4-0, naturally making the top cut after that. So you've kind of achieved one of your main goals for going into the event. How are you feeling after all that? Are you feeling good, like pumped, ready for day two, or just kind of exhausted?
I was I was definitely exhausted, but I went outside. I had plenty of water breaks. I had really good shoes, so I wasn't as tired as I was last year. I made the mistake of wearing flip flops. So, but this year I got comfy shoes on, got the insoles, hydrating, sometimes with beer too, but still hydrating. And then sitting down, I would say in those long marathon of tournaments, I'd say sit down as quick as often as you can.
100%.
Um, yeah. So and then yeah, after day one happened, I was able to get best chaos 2 years in a row, or best heretical, whatever the trophy said. Ooh, excuse me. And then apparently at the very end, I when they posted the results for their in-house results, I got number two out of everybody. So that was a nice surprise. So apparently they liked they liked my models, my battle score was good. I think my strength of schedule was really good as well, because I looked at it. All my opponents besides my round two were 3-1. So
Right. Yeah.
apparently I faced some sharks.
Nice. Stomping through it. So we move into day
Mm.
two, which is the elimination bracket, right? So you lose a game here and you're going home. How does game number five look for you?
So so I called it the double or nothing round because my fourth round opponent, I played him round five. So I played the same person
Okay.
back to back.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So world
the
leaders
reason
again,
why
right?
yeah. So the reason why that happened, there was a couple of drops on the top 16. Some people couldn't make it. Their paint score wasn't high enough. So people had to get recycled as alternates and whatever, and he was one of the alternates. So it was just a funny story. So and he was probably my favorite opponent of the whole tournament. I even got to play him twice, so yay me. Then we were both joking, and I basically said, "Oh, this is your double or nothing round." Because like if he beats
Yeah,
me,
it's an interesting one.
he goes on, and then if I beat him, I just crush his dreams twice.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I wonder what happened.
So this match was definitely more one sided than the last one. He did not get his blessings of corn rolls were that not the best. I think he got advanced in charge once, and that was like turn four. And then after that, I also went second this time, so I was able to do my normal plan of here's okay, you move forward, here's a bunch of stuff, here's Bellicor and seven idiots in your face. Good luck.
So that one's a bit of an easier kind of run than the first time, which is super nice. So
Mm-hmm.
you make it through the first round of the knockouts. I believe the only Khorne associated player to do so, because I think all the world leaders got bodied at that stage.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
I
sorry, go on.
I felt real bad for what happened with Brian, because I saw the terrain he was playing on. There should have been a nice land raider or even rhino sized gap from where they intersect in the backfield. So
Yeah,
I definitely felt bad. I felt bad for him on that one. They goofed up on the terrain placement. I felt the only
yeah.
time I was worried, I had to say something about terrain, but whatever. The At least they were using the rectangles.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think Brian made the best of it and gave TJ a good game.
Oh yeah.
And tried to crawl out of it, but unfortunately not to be for him in that run. So moving on into round number six at this point, and what have we got facing into?
Uh, it's Necrons, but it's Canoptic Court. So this and the second Necron match with no Catan, I was like, hallelujah, happy days. But I mean, he's this is top 16 for a reason. So he this was one where he's like your typical three three units of race with technomancers, bunch of immortals with associated characters, Luminar Xeris, 2 units of the Acanthrites, the Forge World Wraith units, and then I think two Doomstalkers. So just a whole bunch of beef in this list. So this one was definitely interesting because didn't I spoiler I didn't read, so I was supposed to have a chess clock. So I'm gonna say personally, I don't think I slow played. A lot of people tell me I don't. I just run through my games. This one, like with all the my opponent, he had all the movement, all the feel no pains, and all that. So sadly, at the very end, we clocked out, and it ended up being 50 to 46 for him. I think we clocked out at round 4, so it's not like a super slow game. But yeah, that was the only like down down moment of the tournament. Like I wish we could have played it out, but I mean, I'll take what I can get, especially
Yeah.
for Adepticon is a hard dice down tournament.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And I definitely feel like your list plays like pretty fast, right? It's
Mhm.
especially with how you said, a lot of your games ended quite quickly and you were able to take like water breaks and stuff. I feel like maybe the issue wasn't so much on the Khorne Daemons side there.
Yeah, I didn't want to call like I know like, I guess I'm calling him out now, but I wanted to say like listen, I'm not the one that's slow playing. It was probably you, but I mean that's we should have put on a clock to begin with because of top 16 and even top 4 or top 8. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's them's the breaks. I honestly I don't blame him. I'd be upset if I was in his situation as well. So I can definitely see like he was definitely having like the sad puppy dog eyes or face in front of me. So I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That kind of is what it is, I guess. So is this where the run ends for you then, or?
No, no, I won. So
Oh,
then I
you
went
won
to
that
the
one. Okay,
semifinals.
sorry.
Yes, I
Gotcha,
won.
gotcha.
I won 50 to 46.
Perfect. Okay, I misunderstood. Yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, I thought you got it in the seventh game there.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
I was saying like if the roles were reversed, I'd also be upset too. I'm like, oh, man,
gotcha. Yeah, of
really?
course. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but kind of is what it is when it comes down to it, yeah, like
Mhm.
it's not too much you can do about it. So at this point you're really in the like super danger zone, right? You're going into
Oh
the
yeah,
the real top cut, so it's going to be I mean, anything on day 2 is going to be a tough game, but this is going to be a real tough game. So what have we got facing up
oh
here?
yeah. So I faced. So spoiler alert, I lost. But I faced the overall winner. His name was Brandon Valley, and he brought his Tau list. So I'll give you a heads up. I'm like super tired, and especially what happened last round. I wasn't able to take any breaks. Like I didn't even get a chance to go for a smoke break. So I went from that game to this one, and then they were super adamant on chess clocks this game. So I was like in my head, I'm like, all right, where is it going? Let's go there. Click, 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 all that good stuff. But yeah, but honestly, that guy was a gem to play. I play 10 out of 10 play him again. The only thing I would say instead of doing tactical, I should have done fixed. Like I should have just taken bring it down and cleanse, especially on the ritual. So that was the takeaway I had from that game, and I think it would have been even closer or a possibly winnable match. But yeah, his list I believe was the the Cold Star Commander, the 6 cyclic Ion Blaster guys. I mean, they're going away, so I'm not
Yeah,
super.
we
I
won't
don't care
miss
about them
those.
anymore. Bye.
So
Let the door hit
long.
you. Two units of Breachers, two Devilfish, three individual Piranhas, 2 units of Tetras. And GW, if you're hearing this, please fix them. That
Oh
unit is
yeah.
dumb. Uh, two Riptides and two Sky Rays. Yeah, two Sky Rays.
Oh,
So
okay,
yeah,
cool.
that
Yeah.
was yeah. And then playing on, I think on this terrain that we were using, or at least the deployment map, it should have been different for Hammer and Anvil. It should have been the how the other terrain that Adepticon was using. I think they were using like layout 1 and 4 or 2 and 4. It should have been the other layout on this mission, but whatever. That's just how the stream table was. So yeah, it definitely looked rough for most of the game, but after doing what I was doing my usual battle tactics, or and then yeah, what was it? Definitely stuff died. I'll tell you that. And then when it came down to it, I think it was like 71 to 64, and at the end of the game, I think barely any of us had any models left. It just
Right.
he just
Yeah. Well, that's really
consistently
close.
had he just consistently had up on points. And on my first turn card draw for tactical, I got nothing, and he got a full 10. So I was already down 10 points. So I was like, oh man.
Oh,
But whatever.
super
That's
rough,
that's the
dude.
luck
Yeah.
for yeah, that's the luck for tactical. But either way, the guy was an absolute gem. We were just straight vibing the whole time. We didn't even have to worry about the chess clock. I think we both had like a half hour left on our clocks. So
Nice.
yeah, but it was definitely a fun game. So yeah, that
Sweet.
was that was my run at Adepticon.
Amazing. So finished up 6-1, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wildly good run. And am I correct in saying it was like you were fourth in the standings, was it? Or
Yeah, so out of like the whole like the tournament on BCP, I came out fourth, and then on Adepticon's like internal rankings, like including paint points, SOS, all that good stuff, I came out second. But they only count that for day one because like
yeah,
80% of the guys don't play.
gotcha. It's an amazing result, man. Like serious congrats. To kind of
Thank you.
bring what I would call like an unorthodox army, or at least list, and do so well while hitting so many like tough armies along the way is extremely impressive. And it's really awesome to hear about like this type of success. It's really cool to talk about something that's a little bit different, and something that kind of probably speaks to a lot of the viewers who are into the Khorne side of things. I assume you came away from this pretty buzzed, right? Like that must have been a really
Oh
nice
yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was super happy. I did better than last year. I'm gonna hopefully next year I can do better than that. Maybe make semifinals or just win it.
Just win, man. Just
I'll
win.
go. Just go.
just just go there and win. It's simple.
Yeah. Just roll all the fours. Make your
Easy.
charges. There you go.
Easy. Easy. It's an awesome one though. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that it was a big success. I think to finish this one out, I'd love to pick your brain on like your hopes for the demons going forward. Like obviously they seem to be in a pretty good space right now for you, but like what would you like to see change maybe in the upcoming points update, or maybe a balance slate to come? Like what would be your key things to see for the demons?
I would say just a smidge less points for the lesser demons. Like just a little bit less. It'd be nice to have like more chaff units. And back on the lesser demons, I want 20-man units again because then it'll be actually worth it to take like your
Man, you and
characters
me
and put them in
both,
there.
yeah.
Like, please,
Bring it
please,
back.
GW.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe a little, probably drop the points back for the chicken and also Shalaxi. Why did she go 50 points? Oh, like if she should be like 350 at most. But either way, so that's like my wish list for points at least. Unit counts and some rules. I really hope that fiends get like the warp talent ability, where if you fall back, you must take a desperate escape check. So then it's kind of like how they were in Eighth Edition, where it's not as egregious. Where if you don't have fly, you just can't fall back. So at least there's like some agency where it's like, do you want to or you don't? Like
Yeah,
if you
it's like a
do,
cool
hopefully
kind
you
of
don't
like
die.
risk reward mechanic, right? Where you're like, okay, cool, I can
Yeah,
pull away from here, but like, you tag something like a vehicle, and it's like, well, you want to
hmm
roll those dice?
especially those big knights. I'm like, ooh, are you sure?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like, I'm big proponent of like bring back the horde. I want to see those 20-man units
hmm
again.
Yeah. Then I'd give Blood Crushers a try because at least like sure they might be 12 points each, but then I can actually use like the skull was the Blood Master and Skull Taker's buffs to more effect.
Yeah,
And
right.
then especially
Skull Taker with
yeah,
like a 20-man blob, that thing would strike fear
hmm
into people.
yeah, and especially with Scarbrand next to him, be like, ooh, that is juicy.
Yeah, it's cool. It opens up the play sphere without, in my mind, being like particularly like, oh, that would be so broken, right? Because at the end of the day, there's still like 20 naked dudes running around that like die to bolters. It's like not that big of
Yeah,
a deal.
exactly. Like the
Yeah.
only thing that might be a little egregious is like Epidemus with a 20-man Plague Bearer unit, like having the four up invul, six up feel no pain, one CP to reroll ones to save. So it might be a kind of a pain in the ass, but that's about it. It's just a pain in the ass. It does that unit doesn't do jack for damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a tar pit at that point, right? Like it would have its weaknesses. I mean, I don't know. I don't see that as being like super, super bad. Like I wouldn't really be like that against it. Like they would all have their merits. I think it's something for GW to look at for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's awesome. Before I let you go, man, is there any sort of like clubs or people you want to shout out and say hello to or anything like that?
Well, I definitely want to give a shout out to Tundra Tactics. I tried my hardest to represent them, but hey, I took it to the top 16 and even the top four. Um, that's all the clubs I got. Definitely shout out to the Red Path. And also I want to give a shout out to Barnyard Games. He just recently made a bunch of videos and I saw him talk on the the, the Warhammer chat. So yeah, just want to give a bunch of shout outs and I hope people get on the either the demon train or especially the Khorne demon train. They're tons of fun. Like
Yeah, man.
it's a rush when you're rolling those 6 or 7 dice. Like, how many fours do I get?
Yeah,
And you
for
see
sure.
that.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, like you kind of got me on the buzz, right? I'm probably gonna come away from this and be like, maybe I will build a Khorne Demons list because like I want
Mhm.
to see how they do on the table now after this. But it's been a real cool time chatting with you, man. I hope anyone watching has gotten some interesting insights for the old Khorne Demons, because probably most of the people watching have a chunk of them. I'm gonna guess.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man, and chatting about the demons and about your awesome run at Adepticon. We will be watching with eager eyes to see how you do next. You got any big tournaments coming up? Or I know you're attending one today, right?
Yeah, it's a local RTT. I just wanted to get some just more games in. This one I'm doing a World Eaters list, and it's the three Maulers, two Forges, one Dream.
Nice, let's go.
I'm
Lots of people
coining
are
that
picking up
phrase
on
from that
that.
video.
Yeah. Lots of people picking up on that one after Michael's insane run with it. So, listen, I'm here for the diversity. I'm here for the interesting kind of I suppose like ideas and ingenuity coming out of the community, which you're certainly showing us that you can do some really cool stuff. I think.
Oh yeah, and another tournament I'm gonna go to. It's in It's in July. I know it's far away, but I'm gonna definitely do Angron and two Lords of Skulls. I'm
Big,
all about that.
big vibes, big vibes. I
Oh
love it.
yeah.
I love it. Well, I think that will probably close it out. We're coming up on the hour mark for this video, so I think it's been a good one. And thank you so much, everyone who has tuned in for watching. As always, if you want to support us, if you want to see more from us or hear more from us, check out the links down below. You know where the good stuff is. But until the next one, folks, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.